And good evening and welcome to Andrews the podcast. I apologize for just getting started a little bit late, but you know how it is. Better late than never. So, a lot to talk about tonight. As soon as you get in here, please hit that like button. It does help out the broadcast to it helps out a lot. Tonight we are going to do a little deep dive into politics. We are expecting having a little bit of technical difficulties, but I see people are starting to come in there. But we are going to speak with a candidate from Kingstree, from Williamsburg County side, Miss Christian. I hope I said that right. Christian Presley. And yep, and she just popped in as I said her name. So yeah, we'll be speaking with her a little bit, getting to know the candidate a little bit. That's what we do over here at Welcome to Andrews the podcast. Also, we're trying to get in contact with the candidate from who's running against Mr. Carl Anderson in District 103, Mr. Wendell Paget. We reached. I think he was in earlier. Hopefully, Mr. Paget, if you're watching this, come on, pop back in. Um, Definitely love to hear from you. It'd be a first for me to speak with uh, the candidate for the representative for that spot. So yeah, look forward to that. But let me go ahead and bring up my co-host for every Tuesday night when we're in the building. It's the mayor of Andrews, South Carolina, Mr. Frank McClary, Colonel, retired. How are you, sir?
Hey, what's going on, sir? What's going on? How's everything over on your side?
I'm doing it, man. I'm enjoying the bug business right now. You know what I mean? And a little bit of politics because this whole thing about the district and we're supposed to have somebody the Democratic chair for Williamsburg County on tonight to kind of help help me. I know break down this thing, this redistricting and what it means and what it doesn't mean. So look forward to having that conversation. But yeah, on your side, what you got going down there in the
Hey,
Big
it's a
A?
lot going on right now. We're spending a lot of time on the budget. Obviously, this is budget cycle, and getting that straight. We had a workshop tonight with the council, and to give them heads up on how things are shaping out. Which we were very fortunate to present that to them tonight in a balanced form. And on Thursday night, we will have our first reading for our 2026-27 budget. So that's looking pretty good. As I was telling them today, I said, happy to announce that now the water and sewer, is at a state right now it can support itself. For many years we would have to use money from the general funds to kind of balance out there, but a lot of hard work by a lot of good folks, small team that got things on the right track, and so we were able to do some things, make sure the system. Um, yeah, so that's my major focus. But still having SC 250 heavily involved in that business. Um, Meeting tomorrow with some folks from OSI. Go out here to the preserve and talk with some other folks about the development of Black River State Park. So a lot is happening right now. Um, so pretty busy. A lot of
Wow.
politics. I think I heard you when you're doing your promo, and you're right. That is heating up here across the country, but right now, more specifically about what's happening in the local area. I know, as you mentioned, we'll have on Miss Christie Presley will be on tonight, who's running for the treasurer seat for Williamsburg County. We will have the Democratic chair from that county on tonight to talk to us a little bit, as you mentioned earlier, help us better understand what's happening in that party and how this redistricting thing that's going at the state level, how that's going to affect voting. Because they may or may not have to push early voting, to the right, which will, what challenges that present if we're going to be, move away from 26 early voting and then vote on the 9th of June. What does all this really mean? And so hopefully they can share some light on that and how it's going to impact the people. So a lot to talk about. I'm looking forward to hearing from Ms. Presley. I was fortunate yesterday to listen in a little bit on the Q&A, but I have not personally met her. And Mr. Paget, met him this past weekend, learn a little bit more about him. So hopefully he'll be able to get on tonight and let the people hear from him. So that's where we are, brother.
No doubt. All right, so let's go ahead and get it popping. I see Miss Presley there in the back there waiting, and let's get her in there. And I want a different setup here. Hold on a second there. How are you, Miss Presley? Welcome to Andrews the podcast.
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Well, first of all, thanks for y'all should know. Okay, she was called maybe 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago.
Yep, pretty much.
Okay, so I don't have to prep. I ain't got to get all dolled up or whatever. She's ready to talk to the people. So again, that should be noted, and that is noted. But go ahead, Mayor.
Yes, again, I talked to her briefly, maybe 33 minutes ago. I should say, not 30 minutes ago. And as you said, we just invited her, and that's the way you have to be. You got to be prepared at all times to come talk to the people about, your platform, how you're going to change things, how you're going to make things better for whatever, your respective seat that you're running for. And Ms. Presley instantly said, "Yep, I'm there." And again, we had an opportunity yesterday to listen in on the Q&A. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. But right now, can we get a quick introduction, Ms. Presley?
Yeah, sure. So I am Christy Presley. I'm running for Williamsburg County Treasurer. I have lived in Williamsburg County for about 25 years. This is where my husband was born and raised, and we met in college, and so I followed him here. This is where we've raised our family. I currently teach business education at King Street High School. So, not only have I raised my family here, I'm also investing in the next generation of citizens in Williamsburg County. My background, I have always had a love for finance ever since the first accounting class in high school. And it's just always where my passion has been. So, I tell people I feel like I have been preparing for this position for my entire life. I never thought I would be in politics. So, it wasn't the political aspect that drew me, it's the actual job. I am very interested in finance and accounting and how things work. And it's my goal to make sure that the citizens of Williamsburg County don't have to go through the same experiences that they've gone through in the past, where, we don't know where our money is going, or things are happening that shouldn't be happening, and we're finding out after the fact.
And that would be my question is, first, why sound like you got everything, solid, you're moving along in your life, and now you just decided to go down this road of politics. But you mentioned some of what pulled you out. Can you unpack that a little more as to some of the things that you may have? What are some of the things, maybe 2 or 3 things that you've seen that you said, you know what, I think I can help change that. I can help fix that.
I used to work for the Williamsburg County Department of Drug and Alcohol Abuse, and I really truly enjoyed my time there and my position there. It's like I said, finance has always been my passion. And when I left there, it was under the administration of Tiffany Cooks, and she made changes and my position was cut. And, shortly after, I watched everything that had been prepared and worked for in just that department go away in a matter of months. And, working with vulnerable individuals, it does something to you when you see a resource that they truly need being taken away. And so, that was one of the first things that made me kind of wake up and say, there's something not quite right. Then, as time moved on and we started hearing different things about different people within the county government, um, I was like, my thoughts were just, what's happening here? You know, um, what can we do to make things better? Like, these type of things shouldn't be happening. Um, and I think it was back in October, I came home for lunch one day, and there on the midday news was another scandal in Williamsburg County. And I'm like, can we ever get on the news for anything positive? um, and so, later on that night, it's talking to my husband, and I was like, you know, the same thing I just said here. I've never been interested in politics, but based on what the job is, I asked him, I said, what do you think if I were to run for county treasurer? And he's like, well, you've got just as good a chance as anybody else, if not better, because of your experience and your background. So, he's like, go for it. And so that's kind of where it started. Um, just having that conversation with him that night, the decision was made. And then a family member approached me one day and was like, have you ever thought about running for treasurer? I was like, well, the thought crossed my mind, but at the time I still wasn't 100% sure that that's what I wanted to do. So, after thinking about it and talking to my family and praying about it, I really feel like this is my true calling. This is what I was meant to do. It's what I've been preparing for my entire life through my education and my experience.
Yeah. One question for me. So if things are as reported, and this is probably going to be a tough road ahead to fix these things. That does that concern you, or you rely heavily, obviously, on your experience? What do you think about that? Because I understand that it's still ongoing until other stuff get clears up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. I apologize. I was thinking the same thing when you were saying that. Is that you're describing a swamp, and like the mayor said, going into that. Yeah, like the mayor was saying. I apologize, but I was thinking.
Yeah, but it's because it's most people, and I say that because again, sitting, it's just that when things seem to be so, a lot of people would like to wait for it to get all clear up and then take a run. But to dive into the middle of it is, I think it says a lot to your confidence, in my opinion, that you can make a difference. But can you expand on that, please?
Yes, sir. I do my best work under pressure. I know that kind of sounds probably strange. A lot of people run from high stress issues and problems. But when I started out early in my college career, my original dream with my finance background was to become an auditor. People hate auditors. Like, I wanted to do like IRS type audits because I like to know what's happening with the money and where it's going, and making sure that what you say is going to happen is what's actually happening. So I'm not worried about the current condition or conditions that may be there. Um, it won't be the first time that I have had to go in and make changes and clean something up. I've been in several positions where, my predecessor in that particular job, either left a mess, or, there was even one job where they changed the financial software that they were using, and the lady that was there prior to me had retired. So there was no one in the transition that truly understood what to do. So I came in as a new employee, and along with keeping things, the day-to-day operations running, I was also going back and cleaning up, areas where things may have not been entered in correctly, or things were filed incorrectly. So I'm definitely prepared for the challenge.
And I'll just a follow up, if you don't mind, Jamal.
Go ahead.
I heard yesterday part of your resume is that you're a forensic auditor as well. You did some of that work, and if that's the case, if I heard correctly, then how does that help again with a situation like this? How does that help you and prepare or fix things? Talk to us a little bit about forensic audit.
Okay, so I have a master's degree in forensic accounting. It's basically just knowing what to look for, and what tools to implement in order to make corrections. There's the way that you research financial transactions, um, looking for anomalies in different reports, or checking for duplicate invoices or issues with payroll. The forensic accounting is just like with forensic science on a crime scene. It's investigating what has taken place and ensuring that um, everything is being done the proper way.
You do what they hired that person in Lake City to come and do. When
Yeah.
Lake City, with the issue that they had, because I'm hearing the
Mhm.
things that you're saying is, so basically they could have got you to come and I get it. That background is what was needed, but I think it's important that uh, going into politics, this is your first, into politics, don't have a, and I think the mayor can speak more to that. Have a I don't know what you can. I don't know. Uh, I don't know how you cannot have a false sense of how it works.
Mhm.
Uh, but when you get there, Mayor, help me out. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, I would say this. It would be helpful. I mean, not only from having a knowledge and managing day to day and having an understanding that you could see if something is off track, you can catch it then before you have to hire someone to come in here and do that kind of work. So then you have it, to me, to have that kind of experience and actually a master's in this field has to be a plus, you know. And so to have that in house, all that coming into one person has to be a plus. I mean, there's no way around it. And so then how do you come in with that? How do you now resist the urge of investigating? If you come in now and this investigation is still ongoing, how do you resist the urge of trying to get in and slipping into the investigation part of this thing? I mean, how does this? I mean, I'm sure you know where the lines are, but I'm just curious, how is this going to play out with your kind of experience coming in this position?
Um, well, I guess honestly, I won't truly know until I get there and see what things are. Um, but I've been the person in charge of finance departments, so um, I've been through audits. I know, what an auditor is looking for when they come in, and anything that's needed in order to complete this investigation, I would be willing to work with whomever is brought in to try and fix it. Um, you know, because there have been so many issues going on, um, I would definitely want to take a look at everything myself, um, all of the accounts, the records, especially what is being questioned, just to, be sure for myself that we haven't missed anything, that there's nothing else going on that we need to be aware of. Because, kind of like what I said last night, it's whenever you find a problem, you identify the problem, you figure out how it happened, and then you come up with a solution. So, there's not to say that in any department or any job, there won't be a problem or an issue that may arise, but it's how you handle that problem that's important.
And so my question would be, okay, it seems as if transparency has been an issue in that position or
Mhm.
in those offices. How will you approach that? How will you incorporate transparency to keep the people abreast of what the situation is financially?
Um, I would definitely have an open door policy. Anyone that wants to come in, address me, ask me a question, I would be happy to answer. As far as um, reporting, all of that information should be available and open to the public. Whether they come in and ask for it, you got a copy of an audit. Um, we live in an era of technology and social media, so the county has a website. When audits are done, those audits should be published on the county website under the treasurer's office so that the general public has access to it and they can ask whatever questions they need to ask if they don't understand.
Okay, let's move away from that part. So how do you see under your leadership, how does Williamsburg grow? How do you impact the growth and moving it in a different direction?
Well, part of what the treasurer's office does is managing county investments. So there are certain guidelines that have to be followed. I would, work on ensuring that we're investing in the best um, avenues for the county. Uh, as far as growth, the more things we can bring into the county, the more the county will grow. So that's not only a job for the treasurer's office, that's working with county council and with the county supervisor to ensure that we're using our money in a way that makes sense, that's the most beneficial for the residents of Williamsburg County.
And so what does that require in terms of the working relationship with the existing council and the supervisor? So how does that work? Because we don't have a treasurer at this level. We have a CPA
Mhm.
third party that helps us manage, and she's fantastic as well. But how does that work in terms of the interaction to avoid some of the things that we've been talking about earlier? I mean, the value of a
Right.
treasurer in an organization this big.
So, the county administration, council, and county supervisor, they come up with the budget for the county. The treasurer doesn't play a part in creating the actual budget, but what the treasurer can do is um, communicate and collaborate with the members of county council and with the county supervisor to make sure that they know and understand where our money is going and where we are potentially overspending, where we can put more resources if necessary.
So that it does put you in a position then the job itself to see how things are flowing. So anything
Mhm.
that again what's currently existing, you would be able to see that and advise that something seems to be out of whack.
Right. Yes, sir. So, one of the questions last night were about the different types of audits, and there's financial compliance and performance was the one that I said didn't necessarily apply to the treasurer's office. So the performance audit, it's something that could be done. Um, and that shows the effectiveness and the efficiency of how we're spending money. The other two are making sure that everything's being done the right way and the legal way. But you also have to take into account, are we spending too much money on copy paper or, just office supplies where, can we put this money somewhere else? So, in that aspect, it's it's good to be able to see where everything goes so that when these questions come up or these decisions need to be made, the individuals making the decisions have all of the information that they need.
So you're watching those trends and how money is being spent,
Right.
which is key. And if, again, we don't necessarily have that at this level where we are. But so that's one of the things that I take on is watching all invoices come through. Kind of helps me understand, if we're putting, spending more money in maintenance or in this, and being able to make those adjustments if necessary, by constantly being aware of where funds are going, and if it's in line with what this budget calls for. This budget that we all voted on, it says are the funds going where it's supposed to, and doing those checks and balances as we move throughout the year. And if you don't, then you'll find yourself at some point, if you're not monitoring those things, then you'll either overspend or money is going somewhere where it's not supposed to. And I'm not sure how, again, the money is distributed in terms of who manage. Does everybody have their own account and they spend that money as well? Or how does the checks and balances go to kind of track what I just described? Because, anything in here, the budget is set, but again, we use a PO, purchase orders, and again, we'll see those documents coming through, being able to say, okay, here's where this department is in this line item, and being able to gauge and have a conversation if things seem to be going unplanned.
Right. So, ideally, you would base this on reports, whether you run them monthly, weekly is probably a little too often, but a monthly report, definitely a quarterly report to kind of see where you stand, because you can watch the trends. Typically, in your financial software, you can run a report comparing your spending for May of 2026 to what you were spending in May of 2025. And you just kind of watch for where things are changing and where you're spending more or less to kind of gauge where you need to be. I think that kind of
and with that, so then so how do you, from where the county is right now, what are your prediction? And again, all of these documents are public, so you can see those things. So your best guess right now on the outside, how long is it going to take for the county to get back on track? Any thoughts on that?
That I'm not sure. It would definitely take a little more research. The problems that we have go back to really about 2020 at least the ones that have been made public. So, you're looking at 5.5 years or so of, what was going on. So it'll take some time to get everything back on track, but hopefully it won't take too long. If at all possible, it won't take as long to fix it and clean it up as it did for the mess to be made.
So is it and basically the treasurer, what I'm hearing is you got to come in and change the culture there, because for them to get to end up in the press the way they have been and somebody was not watching and doing audits, like regular audits. It is the treasurer's office. Is that like, what the mayor was saying? So you're watching the different departments. Every department has a budget, and you're watching to see, well, hey, listen, water department, you guys are spending a little bit, and if you keep on this track, you're going to run out of money beforehand. That's what the treasurer's office, in a nutshell, kind of breaking it down. That's what you do.
Yeah, just monitoring what everybody's doing, where everybody's spending, making sure that everything is staying on track the way that it needs to.
Well, I'll tell you what, I certainly applaud you for stepping out again. Typically people wait for things to get fixed before they want to jump in and take test drive this thing called politics. So that's a lot. Want to wish you the best along the way, because again, it's a long road ahead, obviously, especially now as we are dealing with some of the potential changes at the state level that may delay this thing. So we'll be tracking your campaign. Is anything you want to say to the people of Williamsburg County before we?
Yeah, any events you got coming up or anything?
I don't have an exact date yet. I do plan to host just a little small meet and greet here in Kingstree. I'm going to be using the parking lot of Sam's Quick Stop. I will, once I get my date, I've got to get my permit done with the town so I don't get in trouble. But once I get my date and times, I'll definitely post that on Facebook.
Hey, send that to us. Keep in contact with us. Yeah, I mean, we always open this platform up. All we ask is when you're elected, just be available. Just be, of course, you're going to be busy and all that. But if there's something going on and we kind of need some answers, and you might be the only person that can kind of give us the guidance, well, all we ask is that if we call, just, hey, just answer. But you're welcome to come back on. You're listen. The fact that you took it right then is you put thought into this. You're not chasing a title. No. Sound like somebody that really don't care. You sound like you got your stuff together, and you really don't care too much about hurting people's feelings or telling people the truth. And
I really don't.
Yeah,
I think that has gotten me in trouble in a few places because I'm very blunt and honest, and I don't sugarcoat things to make a person feel better. So that has gotten me in trouble more than one time, but that's just me.
I guess that's what the brother he used to call what, good trouble. What was it? John Lewis.
To be clear and transparent when it comes down to funds. I mean, all things we do here in the government, and some won't understand what that means. A lot of people speak of transparency, but it's tough, but you have to do that. You have, especially when it comes down to funds and people's money. You'll get accused of misusing or whatever, but as long as that thing is documented, it's tracked, and you're going to be all right. So again, I'm going to be watching. Of course, as from this side, we have our own political challenges on this side of the county line, but we all are affected by what we do on both sides of the Georgetown, Williamsburg County. So best of luck to you. Jamal, from Ms. Presley.
Nah, Ms. Presley, just keep in contact with us. And when you have that when you have that event, let me know. I'm not like your local Kingstree News. You know what I mean? You don't got to pay me to come out. You know what I mean? I want the people to have all the information, and I think they can make better decisions when they got all the information. So yeah, let us know. We like I said, we rocking with you. You rocking with us. People of Kingstree, early voting. I keep hearing the man say they might interrupt that. I got to get smart on this district thing. So Miss Wilson was having some issue with the link. And this other guy calling me as if he don't know I do a show every Tuesday night. Ain't that your friends?
Right. So when I got the call earlier, I made sure and told my kids I'm closing the door. Leave me alone.
No doubt. So listen, we appreciate you, and good luck in your race. Williamsburg County.
Anybody out there listening, I would appreciate your vote June 9th. If you early vote, early voting starts May 26th. That's the day after Memorial Day.
No doubt.
Well, best of luck, young lady.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Oh man, all right. That's the first. I'm hopefully we'll get to hear from some of the other candidates, and so they can come in. Just again, this is a platform that is open to all to come in and share your thoughts and talk to the people that you're planning to represent. So here we are, and hopefully we can get the party chair in tonight, because again, I don't fully understand. I mean, you've seen it. It's a lot of discussion going on about redistricting. So of the 7 districts here in South Carolina, the majority of them are red or conservative or Republicans, however you want to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one district, District 6, which has been held by Congressman Clyburn since I think the 90s. And it's what is called the minority majority, I believe is what it is. If I'm speaking again, I'm maybe speaking out of turn.
So was this created in the 90s?
I don't know the history of it, but it was, Chris, because again, according to the Voting Rights Act at that time, they wanted to make sure that folks have representation. At that level. And so this is how these things were carved out. As we talked before, Andrews is pretty much carved out down racial lines of where people live. That's how it's been for many, many years.
Yeah.
So you'll see the majority of African Americans in the town of Andrews is in District 3.
Yes.
So theoretically,
sound like Georgetown. Sound like that's a court case.
It could be based on now the Supreme Court's ruling.
Yeah.
And so now so what you've been having for many, many years is District 3 represented by an African American, that's where the bulk of African Americans live, in District 3, where it's split. And then on District 5, it's majority white. So you'll see that and for some reason, Andrews is the only municipality in Georgetown County
that
has two reps on the county side, and only of course only one at the state level. But that's what's happening, and so a lot of and I guess that is a form of gerrymandering.
Yeah, so if that's the case, and the Supreme Court, from what I understand, has not rewritten rules, but has stated the new rules, then Georgetown County should be in line for a redrawing.
Yeah, because right now what it's saying simply, you cannot carve out an area, a district, based on race.
Okay.
And that's what I think, again, if we can get some experts on to fix us, if we're speaking out of turn, but the Supreme Court ruled that you can't do that. That is a form of discrimination to do things just based on race. Now, what I want to know, does this now, when you start to move these lines and broaden this district, take down these walls, if you will, does that now put other folks in some of these other districts now vulnerable, because now you have folks that was fenced off in other districts now potentially can be voting? So those numbers, that's what I want to get some clarification. How does this?
And my other thing too, man, because I heard, I've been following this and I heard Representative Bamberg and Representative Kirby express that there's nothing that they could do, right, to stop what is happening. Okay, if that's the case, then what's the move moving forward? How do we? Because I think it's leaving an impression that, once they do this, your vote ain't gonna count, and we're back to that, and that's just not the truth. I could be wrong.
It may not count for who you want, who's your desired rep that may look like you, or whatever the case may be. Because of course we have black Democrats, white Democrats, black Republicans, white Republicans. So then, but it may not be that African American person that you want is what really kind of dissolves this thing. If and again, in our case, unlike Louisiana and some of the other southern states that have gone through this process, it may not be who you want, but it'll be someone. You still can vote. It doesn't change whether you can vote or not. It's just that you can't more or less designate who you want by
confused.
making this population. And again, it's like I'm talking about here for Andrews.
Mhm.
If what are the chances of a white person winning District 3 in Andrews if it's 75% African American?
No, because it's set up that way. It's the lines
And
are
vice
drawn
versa.
that way
Right.
to say, hey, we're gonna make sure we always have an African American. I mean, that's
Right.
what the lines say based on the numbers
Right.
and
So
based
we have
on the political affiliation of blacks.
exactly. And the same thing for District 5. If it's predominantly 70, 60, 70% white,
and
what are
Republican.
the chances of and Republican? And then what are the chances of a black Democrat or black Republican in this case winning? And if you look at, again, I'm not the expert. If you look at how things, analysis of any voting, regardless of what level, you will see that it depends on the dominance of the race who's sitting in, who has a better opportunity to win. Whether or not that person is qualified or not, it becomes, sometimes voting and things, election is a popularity thing. And that's just how it's set up. I mean, you vote for whoever the people choose, the majority wins. And so I think that's what some of the discussion we will hear. But again, sometimes if you're not doing your own research, you will be left thinking that, well, this I can't vote. They're making it too hard. No, you can. You just probably can't. You can't necessarily get who you want. Now, that right, fair, whatever the case may be, I mean, that's for the people to decide. And we've seen and heard opinions on multiple sides about this issue.
Yeah, this dropped at 6 o'clock, and it says here, it's not letting me get beyond this point. Okay, all right, maybe are you doing it? What kind of browser are you using? I'm responding to a text. I'm not sure. I'm working on that on why it's not letting you get past that point. Republicans in South Carolina House cast aside Democratic suggestions and objections Tuesday as they work toward a key vote on a congressional redistricting plan that could give the GOP a shot at winning an additional seat in November's midterm election. Redistricting plan urged by President Donald J. Trump would reshape the state's only Democratic-held U.S. House district to Republican advantage as a part of a broader national effort to retain the party's slim House majority in the midterms. Yeah, they didn't kill Charlie Kirk, they wouldn't have this problem. To buy time, the newly proposed map to be implemented, the South Carolina legislation would remove U.S. House races from the state's June primaries instead set a special primary election in August, and that's what you're talking about, the possibility of not having anything in June. Set a special election in August. Candidates for the state's 7 seats, some absentees, and overseas military votes that have already been cast for Congress would be tossed out. Democrats objected repeatedly during Tuesday's debate, and the Republicans repeatedly rejected their amendments.
All right, go back. You said what would be cast out?
It says here, boom, 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 boom. It says here to buy time, USC Senate 9 primaries, and instead set a primary in August and select some absentee and oversee there. I just heard you pop in there, Ms. Wilson. Some absentee and oversee military votes that have already been cast would be tossed out.
So yeah, there's that element of this situation. So now you get into, now you are, by doing this, do you now deprive folks like service members that are serving abroad?
Yes, they just said it. They just said if you already voted and they make this move, they throwing your stuff out.
But is that just somebody's opinion?
No, that's
what's
going to happen.
Oh yeah, we got the expert in the building.
The ballots will be thrown out.
But how's that legal?
Because of what they're doing right now, they should not be doing this. Hey, folks, but they should not be doing this in the middle of this election cycle. So they're changing the standard. So yes, all of these absentee ballots, all of this stuff, even we start early, they're trying to get it done before early voting, but all of the absentee ballots, 10,000 that have already been sent out, null and void.
Okay, well,
and they will reopen the primary books for folks to sign up for this redrawn maps.
Okay, so, let's back up a second here so our viewers can know who just popped in here. We're familiar with it, but let's get a formal introduction here, Mr. Host.
All right, so guys, we have here the Williamsburg County Democratic Party Chair, Miss Moretta Wilson. She has been the chair for a couple years now, and she is very well versed in this politics thing. So let's get some understanding of what's going on. Now, we were saying that if the votes will be tossed out, will those people have a chance to revote?
Yes, they'll get an opportunity to revote, but it's the voter confusion.
Yeah, okay. Now, the voter confusion. Also, what I'm confused about, will they be able to revote for Clyburn, or will he be?
Depends on what district he's redrawn in. So it's going to be redrawn maps, and the ballots will be sent out based upon if Senate moves the maps forward, because it'll go to Senate tomorrow. The House has a supermajority of Republicans, so they just pretty much shut down the filibuster that was happening on yesterday by the Democratic Party to not push this forward. But an agenda was pushed out this afternoon from the Senate that they will be hearing about the maps at 2:00 tomorrow. If they don't have enough votes to stop it, you will be wasting $2.5 million that have already been expended of taxpayers' dollars to get set for this election cycle.
So I mean, and with them, I don't think it's about the money. It's about the power. It's about the.
Oh, it's definitely about the power. But again, if South Carolina doesn't have any funding, if we're number one worst roads in the nation, we should be expending those funds where they're needed.
Well, and so, is there a possibility, like you said, so Congressman Clyburn will be? I'm trying to understand what happens to his.
His district layout changes. He will still be the congressional person. He said he's going to run regardless.
Okay.
But this just changed the scope of who's in his district. It changes his voter base.
Let me see if I can find a copy of that map that they're proposing.
Well, I think for example, again, in your county, the same situation happened when as a result of the redistricting, moving the lines at the end of the 2020 census,
we lost the House seat.
Yes, because Representative Anderson,
McKnight and Kirby.
McKnight, yes.
Their districts blurred. They became one, as opposed to two separate House seats.
Right.
So they both were serving, but they had to unfortunately run for the same seat after the lines were redrawn in 2020.
And what causes the lines to be redrawn? I know in this case he said it's the Constitution. Is this based on the census? How does this? Okay,
it's the census number, so it's based upon the population. And typically that's when they do redistricting, but they're doing their mid-decade, is what they're calling it. But typically the process is to capture the census information.
So what's going to drive now? What's going to drive the lines now in terms of if it's not race based? So it's just population? Is y'all going to have in this quadrant X amount of people? I mean, is that what it is? Do we know?
There's no rhyme or reason to what these maps state. They came directly from DC, from a gentleman who worked on Project 2025. So there's been no thorough review. There has been no plan. There's been nothing that has been done by the House or the Senate of South Carolina. No General Assembly input. This came directly, like I said, from DC. Here you go. Here's your new map.
Oh, so I didn't realize that. So the map came down. So what? So then, if it's if the Republicans control
the House
and
the Senate, but
the Senate,
mm-hmm.
What's holding them up from this? Why is it taking them so long just to vote on it? If that's they got the marching orders from DC. Here's your map. Go vote. Make it formal, and then go about your business. Why?
Because the House members, the Democratic members who are House members, have been doing their due diligence to prevent this from happening. So they're wanting more research. They're wanting more transparency. They're wanting the House members to sign their name. Who's supporting this bill? Who's putting forth these maps? Where's the research that happened for these maps? And these are the questions that have been asked since Friday, when they were forced to go back into session, because they should have been adjourned for the summer on Thursday, the 14th. But because of the governor's executive order to force them back into session to have this discussion is what caused that. So rightly so, there should be questions. There should be a debate about what's happening before we move forward for a vote. And so that's what's been happening Friday. That's what happened on yesterday. And late last night, the Republicans changed the rules, decided that they're going to cancel how we do this structuring. Yeah, about the debate.
Okay.
Only 3 minutes per, amendment, and 10 minutes for the discussion, and then you move forward.
So the goalposts. So if I didn't get inside the 20, I can kick a field goal and win this game, but they just moved the goalposts.
Absolutely. That is the exact language I used with someone else on a post earlier today.
And
I mean that's
it's all, and it sounds like it's all based on how we're organized. It sounds like it's all legal.
Yeah, that's the part.
To a certain degree, you can. Slavery was legal. You can make anything.
I'm sorry, I ain't laughing at slavery, but that was a good point. My bad. Damn.
You got to think about legalities when we talk about stuff that's legal. There's legal loopholes. That's how people buy firearms. They shouldn't have.
That's the problem with all of them people up in let me point this way, up in Columbia, being lawyers.
Correct.
What do we expect with all of these lawyers? You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know, man.
Or if I have an agenda, I could care less about what's right and fair.
So I would say then. So obviously the Democratic Party is adversely affected by this. So what is the message that is coming out from the Democratic Party at large? How do they prepare themselves to deal with what it inevitably is going to happen? So what is the message to the people in terms of, because as we talked earlier before you came on, some are under the belief that
it's a wrap.
I can't vote. My vote won't count. Is that true?
Absolutely not. And that's part of the problem in South Carolina. Over 300,000 voters have not voted in South Carolina since the 2012 presidential election. So the numbers are there, but so many people have gotten apathetic, and we can't afford to be apathetic with situations like this. And there was a House member who said on the floor that we might regret doing this. The Republican member, he said, because this is going to activate the Black vote. This is him quoted saying this on the House floor. So they think that they're targeting Congressman Clyburn, but what do you think you're doing with his base? You're spreading us out. So you're thinking you're attacking one seat, and you may lose some seats.
And so those are the Republicans who are saying, nah, we don't need to do this.
Correct.
All right. So are these maps? Is this correct? What I have on the screen here?
To be honest, I don't know. Because again, that's the conversation that's been happening.
So they basically haven't dropped the map. We don't know how we're going to do it yet.
And they keep saying that the maps are available for the House to look at in the map room, but then the members of the Democratic Party that get up to speak and say, well, there's nothing available there. No one is in there to provide you detail on what's changing. Is this accurate? You know, so again, and no basis on how they got to this point, aside from this was sent to them.
Man, I wish I had the I wish I had the Dora Explorer, the map thing. This is the map thing. I'm sorry.
But then where is the energy? And again, at the party that's most affected, what is the strategy at this point? I think because sometimes, regardless of where, if you get caught up into this part that you may or may not be able to change what's happening right now. We're so close to early voting and the primary here shortly. What are we talking? Because again, it's going to boil down to voting. I believe. I think, like you said, it's going to broaden. It's going to expand now. Who else can vote for whomever they want to, whether it's Congressman Clyburn or whatever the case may be. But to keep people focused or to get them focused, I don't see the effort at the national level yet that says, let's move beyond this. Let's let the legislature.
There is energy. There's energy. There's a lot of energy on a lot of different levels, not just from the political level. It's also from the NAACP, ACLU. They're already encouraging folks. One, they're already filing lawsuits in every southern state. So that's where this redistricting is happening. So we're talking about South Carolina, but we're talking about all the Southeast states, all the states that lost in the Confederacy. So this is loser energy moving forward. This stuff happened during the Civil War, and you're bringing this same energy back once again.
Is this a part of the South shall rise again?
that could very well be, and they're very patient. We looked at how the Supreme Court was stacked over the years. Mm-hmm. All of these things came into place for this particular purpose.
Murdaugh's conviction speaking of the South rising again, Murdaugh's conviction got overturned.
Round two.
It's a lot happening, but I think in all seriousness, we say that, but it's in all seriousness. I've seen again some of the trends that folks will get upset with processes or the fact that they in their minds that my vote don't count and I'm just not going to do anything. A no vote is a vote for somebody else that you may not like or you may not need.
Correct.
It's not. So again,
what is the winning strategy in this? How do we win despite this? Is there a way to win despite this? Because it feels like, oh, they get ready to stack the deck. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So should like back in the days, the way that the blacks invaded the Democrat Party, should we start getting some blacks to go and join the Republican Party?
Typically, people love to say that, but when you have a primary that has opposition, it's never effective during a primary to do that. If you have a primary that has opposition, you need to make sure your person is moving forward to the general election.
So basically, don't eat your own.
Pretty much, because that's what you're doing. You're throwing something away, and then you don't know what the end result is going to be. Oh, he's going to be fine, and then this candidate comes out of left field and takes the person out, during the primary.
Yeah, I'm looking at y'all governor race, kind of saying, I got some opinions on that. The front runner, he obviously is a softball fan.
Who is the front runner now?
Mullins McLeod on the Democrat. I'm calling him the front runner. I see him more. He apparently did some great work with the Charleston Nine. And he's got the money. He's got the money. That's the problem that I have with politics is because
it's always about money.
Yeah, the messaging. The message is like the background noise.
Thing. It's the least. It's how often are you seen?
How many of these people I can buy? Yeah, it's a psychological thing because if you keep seeing the same thing or hearing the same thing over and over and over, and if you're not a student of whatever it is, you're going to go with that message that they keep putting in your face.
Familiarity breeds contempt.
Voters, do your own work. Don't rely on your Facebook friends or these things on Facebook or wherever, Instagram. Sound bites, because it may not be what it appears. And so do your own due diligence. This is a time, I think, for everybody to really get involved. I mean, do your due diligence and researching, because the message that's going to be coming across the airway is going to be very confusing. And you're right. If you have millions, because if you look at it right now, there's some unprecedented amounts of money that's being spent on people that they want in, and people who have the purse is putting that into these folks. I'm talking the millions.
Yep,
have it. I mean, hell, we're giving money now to folks who attacked, the Capitol, January 6th folks. We're paying them off. So money is moving this train, but this train is headed in the wrong direction, in my opinion. So, but I still say the power of that one vote that you have, and if you all on the same message, regardless of what party, you're going to make a difference. Don't be intimidated by what you're hearing and seeing. Vote. Let it all come out at the end is my message to people, regardless of whoever you plan to vote for. That's just my opinion.
But it's important for the people to know that their money is being wasted and how it's being wasted. It's costing $85,000 a day for House to be in session. That's just the House. We're not talking about security, additional staff. So that's Friday.
And I think
that's Tuesday.
Yeah,
and then you got to look at what's going to cost for Senate to come in tomorrow to address what's going on. And if it goes beyond tomorrow, these are the type of things that you have to think about. Again, I talked about voter confusion. So if this has to be redone in the middle of an election cycle, that means the voting date will change. All of these ballots, all of this has been expended already. You got to print new ballots. You got to get new absentee information. You got to reload all of these election machines. It's a nightmare.
But it sounds like a strategy.
But but again, that chaos, organized chaos. And I'm hoping I get you so confused and so spun up that you don't do anything. But I'm hoping this activates and moves in the opposite direction and blows them out of the water. So, you presented the option, so let's move forward with what we have.
But here's again, I think where we lack, we nationally, locally, whatever. If people don't feel it, if they don't feel that any of that $85,000 a day coming directly out of their pockets, directly out of their account, well, they say it's not affecting me. And how do you change that mindset? So yes, it is, because you're paying into this stuff. This is and tax dollars that you have to keep these people in session beyond, and so how do you get people to feel that those effects if it's not directly coming out of their pockets?
And the people I'm talking about, not us, because we're going to watch that. We're going to say because we can make that connection. And I'm not trying to disparage anybody, but the man on the ground, the people on the corner, like the question is I guess for me with how do we make that connection? I don't know if there's an answer to that. You know what I mean? But how do we? I guess through doing things like this. I don't know, but I don't know.
Because even if they weren't quantifying the cost, people still before this, they're not energized mentally. So I'm just thinking that this is what is going to get the attention. This is nationwide attention that's happening right now. So from Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, South Carolina, Virginia, we're all experiencing the same thing. And so you have people that move about throughout those states that provide that energy source that you may not necessarily have. You have people from South Carolina that go to Georgia all the time to help with their votes, and vice versa, and throughout. So hoping that those same individuals that love to canvass, that do that old school grassroots beating the pavement situation when it's time for elections, we keep that same momentum and help each other out. We're going to have to be each other's safeguard right now.
That's the thing, is the carryover. You're right, and that's why I'm always saying that we gotta educate these soldiers better so that they can, in these long sustained battles, we don't get them down the road at the ice cream shop. Hey, come back over here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's just making them understand what it is, what's at stake.
Well, I think the thing is now we have I think if we just stop, we as all the people, if we stop and just see what's happening right now across the world, locally, because it's all affecting us, and just simply ask yourself a question: do I want this to continue this way? And if the answer is no, then you need to vote the other way. Because you're not going to get them to realize, you're not going to get people as a whole to realize that this 85, and again, I use an example, this $85,000 is actually coming, you're paying into this. But if you don't like what's happening, you can feel and see what's happening right now. It's tangible things that are happening.
Correct. When you go to the gas pump, you feel it.
You damn right.
So you can equate it to that. It's
right.
the same thing.
Yes.
You know?
And if by now that carton of egg that was, talked about so much at the national level, an example of, what's too high and it's going to come down. Are the eggs cheaper today? Probably
Is
not.
anything cheaper today?
Yeah, I don't know about the egg thing now because I got into that debate.
You got chicken, yeah. It forced you to get some chickens.
But here's the thing. Hold on now, because I'm like the auditor right there, and I'm doing the math, and I'm saying, are these chickens? Are these eggs cheaper?
Matter of fact, where are the chickens? I haven't seen them lately.
I lost.
Because you got to feed them.
There you go.
You got to go out there and do all this stuff. The labor that's in, involved.
The mid.
Like we lost the host.
Uh-oh. I was like, I say, is it me?
Yeah, you can't talk about the chicken. I haven't heard anything about his chickens lately. There he is. He's back.
Okay.
What'd you say, sir?
Yeah, but yeah, nah, man. I lost 5 birds this morning. 5.
No.
Yeah, some stray dogs in the community.
Oh God.
But
sorry.
I lost. Yeah, exactly. I lost 5, but the neighbors have lost. They lost their whole. They wiped them out.
No, that's awful. That's awful.
Yeah, and so
yeah,
but back to the cost of free, because I'm a Tractor Supply member. They got my phone number and all that. I get the little $75 $2 discounts every once in a while. But yeah, when you start adding that up, and I don't have a lot to do. But so let's see, this feed here, 1 egg a day.
It costs. It costs even produce.
Dozen eggs. Pretty much. I think about 4 or 5 hens. But the point is,
it's that's why I have that conversation with people in Tractor Supply. People are looking to find different ways to relieve the cost. The energy cost is what it is. That's killing. You know what I mean? It's costing.
So
diesel fuels up.
That's the thing that if you want to really understand the effects of this political environment, and you can't see that it's changing anytime soon, that should be enough to drive you. Forget about the $85,000 that Ms. Wilson just mentioned. What about your gas price? No. You keep it in mind, but if they can't feel it, if you can't get someone to understand,
but you feel it elsewhere.
You feel it elsewhere, and then that should drive you to at least wanting to learn more of what's happened. How can you affect change? And it starts with getting to know who's out here running, getting to know who's currently there, and does the future look different?
But for a fact, people don't show up to meetings. They don't want to be involved. They want to have their online pontification about how they think things should work. Just because you think that's how it works. There's policy, procedure, there's state statute, there's town ordinance, there's all of these things that come into place. And if you make yourself available to where the information is being shared, you would be informed. But a lot of folks don't want to do that. They just want to congregate online amongst, themselves. And, we're in general population. That's what I call it when you're on, out here on the free world and Facebook. And every thought is thrown out there that doesn't connect any dots, doesn't make any sense.
Don't put me back in charge. Don't put me, not back in charge, but don't put me in charge of that, because I'm changing the voter rules off the top. Like, yeah, we gonna straighten that up. Woo! Listen, I'm putting the jelly bean jar up there. Tell me how many red jelly beans at the bottom of that jar before you come in. All right, you pass that. Here's a read test over here.
Turn it off.
Hey, so let me ask. Go ahead, sir.
But out of that, right? And we talked about that. Out of that kind of pressure, I say that's what Winsburg County produced, these kind of people right here. You feel what I'm saying? These kind of, this is these kind of people that came out. I was talking to a 22-year-old today who lived with her parents, right? Probably watching the podcast, and was talking about a job. She's unemployed, but she said she's not broke. 22, live at her parents' house. She says she's not broke.
She don't have any expenses.
You know what I mean? But this is who we're trying to get to vote.
So you don't feel nothing
at all. You can't even feel. You don't even know you broke.
Yeah. And
or that your spirit is broken. That to think that these things don't interconnect.
And that's what I said. I said maybe she thought I was saying because it was, I'm not gonna go out there and chase no bugs or whatever. You think I want to go chase bugs? No, but I don't want no bills. I don't want them bills chasing my ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
look, it's gonna be one way or the other. Just like politics. People say I don't get involved in politics. Well, politics involves you.
Thank you.
Everything that you say, think, or do involves politics. Politics in some form or fashion.
Yes, and
so you got to get that out of your mind.
You are cringe when people say that.
You're a participant or you're a victim.
So let me ask: is this an apple orange or apple shrimp comparison here? So then, if the district situation was unconstitutional, what is there to be said about the electoral college and how? I mean,
the electoral college is an antiquated system that should have been done away with decades ago. It serves no real purpose aside from to control the vote, because you'll see popular vote versus electoral college, and you can have the popular vote in a state, but the delegates in that state give their votes to one candidate. What are you going to do? So it's an antiquated system that needs to be, if we're talking about redrawing or revisiting something or dismantling something, they should start there.
Yes. So then that also gives a state an advantage, and potentially that's all done too based on race. And those are supposed to be numbers, and given those states that is not as populated as others, some weight.
Yeah, and it's majority. So if you have the majority, they all go to the one.
And you can be as popular as you want to be, but if you don't have those 270, 270 electoral,
the
votes at the end, then you can have this candidate can have 15, 20 million more than this candidate, but again, you didn't get to 270. You didn't get to 270, and you're just a popular loser.
So the justification, what I understand is so that states with large populations don't control the government. Is that
in regards to what?
Is that the thinking behind the electoral college? Because you get the way I understand it is that you get these each, like some of the smaller states. How do I understand it? I understand it to where it's set up to where, like smaller states, let's take like New Hampshire, where they wouldn't get clouded out when it comes to the federal government because of their state's population. Is that?
But you only have a certain number of delegates per state.
Yeah.
So you talk about a smaller population. We only have 8 here in South Carolina.
Okay.
So you look at another state like California, forget how many they have. So it's still population. In a sense, representation. But it's weird. It's a weird thing, and it needs to. The algebra and calculus of it don't make sense anymore.
So again, I think we come back to the point where if I'm just a person that's not into politics, how do you now? And I don't feel a direct hit how do you convince me that my vote matters? Is where I
Well,
think the broader
based
question.
upon what they're doing. If your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't be going to these lengths to make these changes. They wouldn't be pressing your vote. You know what I mean? So just because you don't use it doesn't mean it doesn't have value. But I'm going to make it harder for you to exercise it. So if I make it hard for you to do something, that has to be some value in it, somewhere.
Right.
People just, they have that mindset. Okay, if it didn't matter, then we wouldn't have elections. There wouldn't there wouldn't be a reason for it. We're just gonna go ahead and do what we want to do and tell this person they're in charge and do these things. But this is what the forefathers, we're on 250 years of
Yes, we are.
America. And so they said no taxation without representation, Great Britain. Here we are. But South Carolina says, forget that. Let's try something else. All the southern states are saying the same thing. So they're basically wiping their behinds with the Constitution right now, based upon why they said we have our Independence Day.
So how did this end up in front of the Supreme Court? How does this decision end up back in? Who brought it up to where the Supreme Court ruled the way they did?
So it was an issue in Louisiana where they were adding another congressional district or seat or some sort, and it was an issue where the majority Republican base fought against it, and they took this thing all the way up to the Supreme Court. We know how the Supreme Court is stacked. You're always gonna have your 6-3, and here we are, saying that no, don't worry about that. What we said in the 1965 Voting Rights Act, don't worry about that. That doesn't even apply to what you're talking about. It does, and now they've removed that district based upon that decision, and it was just like clockwork. Like everybody was on the same schedule. They were waiting for this to happen, and as soon as it happened, all the southern states was like, let's do it.
Well, initially, our governor wasn't going to get involved in that, wasn't going to move on that. I wonder.
No, he said that he wasn't going to extend the session.
Right. Yes.
That's what he said.
Which would have essentially because of that force and function, it wouldn't have time to entertain that. So session would have ended.
Correct.
But then the voice from Washington, D.C. spoke, and then things changed.
Yes.
And here we are.
So when is the final decision supposed to be made on this?
Possibly tomorrow, could go into Thursday, unsure. But 2:00 tomorrow is when the Senate is supposed to, because the House approved today, so it moves to the Senate tomorrow. And there's a public comment section. You can provide your public comment. You can go in person at 2:00, or you can provide your public comment via email to let them know how you feel about this redistricting.
So it's going to be a long session tomorrow.
More than likely, because it was an extra long session yesterday for them.
Even after they put a limit on the time to speak.
Yesterday, they didn't move to that until late yesterday. So Democrats moving forward with the filibuster, pushing time, and then at some point yesterday evening, they moved the goalpost and pushed forward with these new rules to be effective 11 a.m., which they executed today.
So then this is just formality. That's
essentially it. And it just depends on the Senate. We have 46 senators, so we'll see how they vote.
Unless some of the Republicans
go to the other side. Yeah. And then again, how is that going to affect them?
If they're taking AIPAC money, they're not.
They have elections in the next 2 years. Each and every one of the House members have opposition this midterm. So they're all up for election right now at the same time. So, hey, it could be for the best, and maybe we get rid of a bunch of folks if that's how you decide to move forward.
Yeah, and it hasn't panned out well for Republicans at the national level and state that has gone against that party's position. There's a whole lot of money come funneling down from DC that if you step out of line and you get off message, then you're at jeopardy. Your seat is
It's under attack. Yeah. And that's in a lot of cases, that's what they're being threatened with. Oh, we're going to primary you. Well, guess what? Y'all have to run every 2 years. The House is the most exhausting situation ever. Couldn't imagine having to run for office every 2 years for this nonsense. So
it's very different. If
they get elected, some of them, get their seat back, you got 2 more years to account for this. So this is it's a quick turnaround.
But I would say then, I mean, as we close this out, I would my thing is that let's keep it simple. It's a lot of moving pieces and things that are part, what we're discussing tonight and more. But the message is just go vote.
Period.
Just go vote.
If it's going to be May 26th for early voting, we won't know. We really won't have those answers until they get through with this piece. So whether or not voting will be postponed, or we're going to continue with business as usual.
I think I just looking forward. Again, you hear me keep saying Charlie Kirk, and I'm saying that for a reason, because that has been a problem for them, and so what they're doing is predictable. I mean, because they are struggling with that young white vote right now. And so
and they're struggling too, because they're looking at what you've been doing. It's some things are just so egregious you can't come back from. And we need to say, hey, stop, take a beat, and focus on the real things that matter to people. But no, here we are again, and nationally, where are the Epstein files?
Yeah, and so
we're at war right now with Iran because
that's what the Epstein files at right there.
That's the distraction. People are dying based upon a distraction.
The Epstein files probably at the bottom of the streets of Hormuz.
And see, so you guys now, I get a little uptight when we start talking about national, because this is it, but we can't take our eyes off of what's happening up here, because this is the second and third order effect of decisions coming out of DC.
Correct.
So everything seems to have a deflection to it's again, you said it earlier, it's just organized chaos to get to what is the end game? We have miscalculated this entire situation in Iran. And now we're in a situation where we appear to be weak. That's just the way it is, because there's still nothing floating, or very little floating through the straits. All prices, food, everything is still going up.
Our farmers are suffering.
Hey,
agriculture.
They got some rain coming this weekend, so a little bit.
But even from that perspective, from the farmers, they're suffering from not being able to move product.
Yeah, and so the gasoline over there, because that it's not just the oil, it's the gas fields, and those gas fields, that petroleum is used to make fertilizer, and so you're gonna have a big, and I say that to thank God for the rain that's projected to come this weekend. Because I'm telling you, get you a deep freezer moving forward.
And that's what people need to understand. That is the second and third order of effect that is causing a problem. There is no way, there's no clear vision when this is going to change. You keep hearing a different message that's coming down. Well, by Labor Day or Memorial Day, I don't know which one it is, that the price is going to be here. That is not necessarily the case. We didn't do well with our visit to China recently because again, nothing seems like it's thought out before we make the next move. Knowing that if you want to go over to China, because China has the air of Iran, okay, we know that. Russia, China, Iran. So now we are thinking we're going to go over here and talk to China, who we've been bashing and
I was talking real crazy about.
And this tariffs of some incredible amount of money, but we're going to go over here now and ask them
who has a majority of our debt, by the way,
right, and ask them, hey, get your boy over here in Iran to open up the straits. Hey, you know what? The first thing that came out of that discussion, okay, so we're going to need you to back off of Taiwan. we Taiwan, because Taiwan is ours. That's what they believe. They're part of this country. We need you to back off and not interfere. Now, the question is, so then, and if you do that, then we'll talk to Iran. And oh, by the way, you know, most of their oil comes from Iran as well.
So what you gonna do?
So
You done
you
boxed yourself in.
Yeah. So here we are, and we haven't done anything military-wise to open this to affect this thing. We've done everything short of putting boots on the ground. So where is the clear vision that this is going to change? The economy is going to return to some somewhat of a normal. When is this going to happen? That geographical location right there controls a lot.
The world. It controls the world.
And you just told a guy who lives right there, through our actions that didn't change anything, that he's now in control. And there's nothing we can say to
change it.
To convince him that, hey, we can cause you problem. No, you really can't, because these guys got some big brothers on the other end.
I would say, yeah, this is the talk to him type situation, and he shows up. You the 4'2" person, and he's the 7'5" person. Yeah, what do you want?
So that's the reality. So if you're looking for something to convince you that voting matters, election matters, you got to look at this thing globally and understand what's happening. Our party insignificant, but it happens to be this rule. It's Republican Party rule right now, and these things are happening under this administration. Will it change? That's the question voters need to ask themselves. Take away, will it change? Do you need a change? It's those are the kind of things.
About what's for the greater good. Just because I'm fine doesn't mean he's fine. And a lot of people think, or just because I support this person, but you got to think for yourself, regardless of, like you said, party line, regardless. What is for the greater good? How are we going to move forward to get to the next level, to get beyond or get out of this hole that we're in? And if that's what all people want to focus on.
Cut ties with Israel.
And people want to name call. And, and again, make it about, oh, you're over here and you're over there. Mr. Richardson and I had a conversation earlier. You talk about right wing, left wing. You talk about one bird. It all has to work together for the greater good.
And that's
the plane ain't gonna fly with just one wing. That ain't how this works.
That's true.
I found out that like you said, the right bird, left bird. Monica Lewinsky was a honeypot. I mean, and both sides they do it. They again, we got to see who that old Epstein there.
Hey, he goes to a lot of baseball games. Now that joke always coming out with a curveball.
but it ties them together. He says, "C.O. Epstein."
It does.
He's in the files.
But see what? So, but that's
all of them. Like you said, across the board. We talk about politicians. We talk about all the Hollywood. Everybody's in the file, regardless of party lines, regardless of what. So let's work on the good on that perspective.
Like Cat Williams say, him just being quiet about be about what we talking about in the party. Yeah, that should make him guilty. But that's just like listen, if that Epstein file was not coming out, we would not be in Iran.
I was going to say with such damning, information.
Well, two things had to go. I mean, Charlie Kirk had to go too, because he started.
He saw and realized.
Yeah, he grew a brain in a 30-06.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about it. But here's the thing: what bothers me about all things that are happening is that so many people you've gone to school with, you probably ate at the same table, so we'll stand quiet and hold that party line when these type of things that you just showed, other things, and we're all of these ethical crazy, taking airplanes and accepting all of this stuff, paying off. I guess it's retribution.
American citizens being murdered in Minneapolis during the ICE protests.
How do you stand and not and just be quiet. Goes in, you
Silence means you're complicit.
that bothers me, that you can just stand and support this and weave through all that, sift through all that, and say, oh, by the way, but this is one good thing that's happened. When all of these things here that really has gotten us into where we are, globally.
But that's when people gaslight themselves.
So we're in a difficult time.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, and so we're not obviously not going to figure it out tonight. But what we want, and certainly I do want people to just go vote. If you're looking for a slogan, something to motivate you, just go vote.
The sister Jennifer Lewis said, "Get your behind up." That's not what she said.
No, vote. Yeah, she have her own song.
That's it. It's
that
go
serious,
though.
And let the chips fall where they may. I'm not advocating one side or the other, but just go vote. You do your due diligence, see what's happening. Can you live like this for another year, another year, another 2, 3, 4 years? And that should be your answer. And if you can.
And check the record. What have some of these folks that are voting for these policy changes, these redistricting, what have they done for your state? What bills have they introduced? It's very easy to find out. You can go right to the state's website and you can see their voting pattern, what they voted for. There's discussion about things that make absolutely no sense. But this is what they focus their energy on. I've said it on this platform before. South Carolina is one of 2 states that don't have a hate crime bill. That's South Carolina and Wyoming. Reverend Clementa Pinckney was a senator for this state when he was serving in 2015 when that demon went into their church, murdered him and his parishioners doing Bible, sat through the entire Bible study. But this is what we have the energy to focus on. It's insane that the Confederate flag would still be flying above the State House grounds had that travesty not happened. But we cannot honor that man with a hate crime bill because that was hate. This man said, I targeted this church on purpose. He had his manifesto because of the rich history of that church, the significance it meant to the Black community, and who he was as the pastor and a senator in this state. And these are the type of things we continue to do. We worried about redrawing maps. We got to do better. We got to think bigger. And we got to be, where is your empathy? Where is your compassion? 2015, 2016, that's 11 years in June. Nothing has been done. That's a slap in the face to your fallen colleague, his remaining family members, and all of those who knew and loved him.
Has the bill been, and because I don't know, has the bill been introduced?
Yes, a bill was introduced, and there was opposition to the bill.
Okay. I think there were 2 at one point, either 2 or 3 state folks was holding up the.
It's more than that, but yeah.
That now?
But no, 2 local folks that were holding it up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it seems it's the simple things like that, things, the common sense things that we can't agree on, that makes this party thing dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Because you're not operating, like I said, in a human mindset. You're operating on what?
Yeah.
That I don't have a heart, that I can't think about or feel that this is the right politics. Thing to do.
Absolutely.
You have these individuals that burnt this cross in these folks' yard in Horry County. That's a hate crime.
And I don't know
it
enough.
It just happened a little while ago.
Yeah, I saw that on the local news. And so then we've allowed with this political game now has really become a game. It's about winning, my side winning regardless of how everybody is affected, how people are affected. Do away with all of that craziness, man, and just have, because we're not going to get any better, especially here in South Carolina. If it's been predominantly, a red state,
and that's that's from a lack of people not participating in the process. From what I've been hearing.
I think it's 40% of this state, I think, is minorities. I believe. I don't know if those numbers are accurate or not. I don't know.
But again, we're all spread out, but it's also the numbers are there. We're just not showing up.
Not showing up. So
2012, since 2012, over 300,000 South Carolinians have not voted.
Yeah, I remember you saying that at what's his name campaign rally, and I was like,
you know, and so with that, you can't make any argument. You can't argue when things don't go, or you don't have proper representation.
I'll say, get your ass up and go vote, and then you don't even got to go register. You can do it on your phone right now.
Because again, that's going to have to be reopened if these maps change. The voter registration process will have to reopen. All of these things start over. The books will have to reopen. So, you know.
So does the Democratic Party have some money to get this message out? You know what I mean? To let people know, hey, you know, because I'm for hire. I'm going to tell you right now.
Well,
it sounds like y'all got a messaging campaign that y'all gonna have to really hit the ground and thing now. You know what I mean? I'm not like some of these bought and paid for organizations, TY News, Gab News, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? But
is there a heart in the house?
I can't speak to the state's budget, but at this local group, we ain't got no money. That's
golly.
So again, if he's going to quote 5 Heartbeats, there's a song, ain't got no money.
Not a heart in the house, man.
But,
hey, look.
But let me ask you this so seriously. How do we change that? Like why do like I was looking at, and I'm not endorsing Jermaine Johnson's candidacy or whatever, but he ain't got no money and he's not getting the traction he's having, you know what I mean? Not that he needs or whatever to you know, in this race. Like how do it just, I don't know. I felt bad for him when he came to King Street.
And that becomes the issue. You know, they're traveling all around the state, especially if you're doing a statewide campaign. You got to hit every corner of every town, of every county. And, you know, somebody feels, you know.
And we don't donate to politicians.
No, but we
don't do that.
We want you to come and not thinking about, hey, this gas and all of this other stuff that it takes into, and I have to cover this wide area, and I'm putting these expectations on you that I need you to come see me.
Yes, yes, with no money.
With what? With what?
Hey, I see they got some supporters. I see in the comments here. Who's that? We got Miss Veronica there. She says Paget for the People, House District 103. I see Miss Cynthia McCormick at Jermaine Johnson for governor. I can't see the rest of the comments.
But as you were saying, you know, funding. It takes funding to
it took that paper. You know what I'm saying? Because I was looking at it, I was like, man, I wouldn't mind helping Jermaine Johnson out for some money.
But it takes funding. You got to get these donors. You got to, you know, $5, $2,000, whatever. If you have something to give, but again, most folks are just looking for you to show up, not realizing that it costs for you to get there. And we're, you know, and if, well, they didn't come to see me. They didn't come to my church. They didn't ask me. You see these commercials.
Yeah. I hear a man, Mullins softball game. Now, I just don't think Mullins McLeod can win in a general. I just don't think that he is. I almost, you know what I mean? I got some other thoughts too, but yeah, I just don't think he can win in a general because, and again, no, you can't hold him being naked on the battery against him. You feel what I'm saying? But you can't forget him being naked on the battery either. You feel what I'm saying? Because what if he did that at the governor's house? You got to ask the question. You know what I mean? And they're just acting like, no, he done had one bad thing. This is not your brother. You trying to get out of jail. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just don't think he's gonna win in the general. So he's spending a lot of money. Could be a plant. I don't know.
Money's what it takes. Money's what it takes to be out there in front of the people. Money and time. So again, these House of Representatives, they should be out campaigning right now, but they stuck, you know, in a holding pattern with this nonsense.
Daddy Trump said he
But
wants this thing
anything
done.
like, yeah.
Get them ninjas from Washington. We don't want them up here no more. That's what. Now he didn't say ninjas or nothing like that. But I'm about to release the speech from this event that took place in King Street, that where Congressman Clyburn was speaking at, and he was just breaking it down. You know what I mean? That's Miss Ann McGill. But shout out to Miss Cassandra Rush and the museum, Williamsburg County Museum of Cultural Arts. Also, the people that were all involved in pulling off the presidential gala that you see right there, honoring the 4 HBCU presidents from Williamsburg County. But yeah, I just had to say that real fast, y'all. Shout out to Miss Sandra and that group, Congressman Clyburn and Miss Vicky, and it was crazy, y'all, is that I don't be knowing a lot of these people I be talking about online. Like, I'm glad I got some size on me, so they be, kind of second guessing while running up on me like that. They be like, I don't know if that's safe, but people be like, oh, that's such and such. And I done talked about Miss Coretta. What's his name? Daughter, man. Mr. Come to my daddy house all the time. Mr. Blumenville. She ran for office. I can't remember her name. Coretta? Is it Coretta? But anyway, I met her.
You talking about school board?
Yeah. There you
Okay.
go. There you go. Yeah. She came and gave me a hug at the thing. I'm like, who the hell is this lady? She was like, yeah, you was campaigning for me so hard.
Miss Carletta Scott Israel.
Carletta Scott. There you go. I said Coretta. Okay, God. Carletta Scott. Yeah. You know what I mean? But nah, it's all good though.
You don't know who knows
Shout
you
out
out
to
there.
Sandra Rush, that program together. I'm sorry I missed it. Was assisting with a family member. But yeah, great needed program. The 60th anniversary of MLK coming to King Street, South Carolina, and that's what we still have to do is march on the ballot box. This is what his message was, and that's the same thing we got to do now. And Congressman Clyburn has been a champion, not just for the state of South Carolina, but this entire nation. There's so many things that have happened, great things that have happened because of this gentleman. He's been the second Black person, not Democrat, because there have been Democrats and Republicans who've been in a congressional seat throughout the duration, but he's the second Black person to hold that seat. Robert E. Smalls was the first after Reconstruction, and then Congressman Clyburn is the second. And the fact that the House broke grounds on a Robert E. Smalls monument last week, and then turn around and with this foolishness, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that we're gonna say, oh, we're breaking grounds on a monument to honor this man, and then shift to get rid of his legacy.
I'm telling it shouldn't be crazy to you because
It's insanity.
that party is that's what they're experiencing. So they lashing out right now. They gonna trust me. If it's in the damn trunk, they gonna use it right now because that party is hurting. Okay, hurting. This war is going horrible for them. You know what I mean? And it's just, and so.
So what better to do to energize your base than to disenfranchise those that you've already vilified and picked apart?
There you go. Let's throw a little race in the pot, and here we go. And
no, a lot, not a little. That's the main ingredient. It's too salty already. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pure and uncut.
Yeah, it's great. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate you though, Ms. Wilson, because you brought some. I was confused on this thing. You know what I mean? Because I keep hearing, I'm getting sound bites, and that just after a point it just starts to piss me off when it's just okay. I'm not getting the full, and I'm being led to believe that again, and I don't think some of these people, and I'm talking about some of these representatives, really take the time. They're chasing sound bites and clicks, and so to get people clicking on their video, they'll come with the hyperbole, and it's just
But also too, it's a short amount of time. they shouldn't even be dealing with this. So there wasn't a whole lot of time to prepare information to be like, hey, public, this is what's going on. Because they in the trenches at the same time. So it's an awful situation to be in.
Legislate
the public wants information, but how much information can you get when you're getting hit? Oh, Thursday, we're wrapped. And then here you go, 5:01. No, come back tomorrow at 11.
And again, it goes back to the individual voter. You get involved, you know who's out there, and do your own research and go vote. If you don't like what's happening, do your part to make a change. Simple as that.
McCormick, who didn't show up in Florence?
Oh boy, who's that, McCormick?
Yeah, she said somebody didn't show up in Florence. Who didn't show up in Florence?
And that's where I wanted to try to be, because they were supposed to have a number of candidates tonight. The Florence County Democratic Party was hosting an event with their congressional person. But they said they're going to have about 30 candidates at their event now at the SMIT Center. So I'm wondering how that went tonight.
30 candidates? That was horrible. I mean, can you get to talk a minute?
Well, it was going to be a meet and greet.
Oh, okay. I thought it was all speaking. Like, I'm not sitting around that first 4 or 5. I'm out of here.
You see, this is torture.
Oh, my boy Mullins. I ain't even gonna play the video I had queued up here because the Democratic.
Yeah.
So I ain't even. Yeah.
Call me Trey from Boys in the Hood. Dope. Let me out the car.
That's wild.
You out the car.
But, hey, I appreciate you, Ms. Wilson. We can go ahead, but as this thing unpacks and whenever they make a decision, I might reach out to you to come back and kind of give us an update. And
go ahead, sir.
Yeah, more importantly, as this plays out, to try to keep people on a, you know what I mean, so they just don't pack up and leave and just, man, fuck it, I ain't want to hear nothing about that. So I'll do what I can to help keep people engaged. Yeah.
And I want folks to know this is a nonpartisan platform. We invite you all because I know everybody has a perspective on what's going on, and I think it's fair that we have these conversations. So again, people can make the right choice. And for all you candidates out there that's listening, that will watch this after we shut down, come on board. Again, we appreciate Mrs. Christy Presley for coming on tonight. And talk a little bit about her campaign and what she's plans to do down in Williamsburg County. But this is what it's all about. I'm nonpartisan for the record. So I'm here and I have the same questions with regards to what party you may be with. And your party doesn't change what's happening in the real world. So I would love to talk to some supporters of what's happening right now. I'd love to have that conversation. And we who feel this type of way over here doesn't continue to talk to ourselves, because I'm watching you flow out here, and I see a lot of people who just won't speak out. Quiet is not going to get things.
Like I said, silence means you're complicit.
Yeah, and so let's all talk about it, and hopefully, prayerfully, through these conversations, folks who are on the fence or not on the fence at all can help them get involved and inform to vote. So we're watching the needle, see whether this goalpost and the needle keeps moving to the right, and whether May 26th is going to happen. That's only a few days away.
Correct, the day after Memorial Day.
Yeah. And so,
man, they picked the perfect time too, because they know people at the beach party.
Distracted.
Oh man, listen, hey.
You said this is the attack on Bikers Week?
Yeah. Listen, I have to look at it in a strategic, manner.
Yeah.
For me, it's not good or bad. Is it effective or is it not? And oh man, listen, get them right now. As soon as they hop on that bike to leave, get them right now. Go ahead.
But you have 2 weeks, even if that's the case, and the dates doesn't change. You got 2 weeks in early voting to get it done. And
If nothing changes, correct.
if
nothing changes, May 26th to June 5th, early voting, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. at whatever your local locations are. Williamsburg County, 2 locations, J.J. Mitchum Community Center and Hemingway, and the Alex Chapman Auditorium in King Street. Those are your 2 early voting locations, only weekdays. The primary is set for June 9th, but again, until what happens between tomorrow and Thursday, we don't know.
So, and I guess the message too would be, if you are early voting, you really need to pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
Because it could be a situation where you got to do it again.
Or that's if they allow them to do early voting. Because that's the other question. Did you put a pause on it? Because if the congressional district changes, you now have to reopen the books.
And again, for our troops that are deployed away from home,
ballots have already been received.
Yeah,
over 10,000 ballots have been mailed, and ballots have already been received. I spoke to a church member of mine. She's 92 years old. Probably one of the most astute individuals you will ever encounter. This woman can run intellectual circles around many a person. But she had questions about the process. What's happening? I got my absentee ballot. What should I be doing with it? So that's the type of stuff we're at right now.
Jim Crow 2.0.
Check voters registration. Now, we know a close friend of ours who's been voting since she's been 18 years old, realized a month or so ago that she's not even on the books. Just voted in the most recent election.
Anything they can do to win.
I actually got her information, went on there to look. It wasn't there. So she's since got it fixed. But again, if you're that type that will procrastinate and wait to the last minute, then you're going to find yourself in a fix. And don't wait to the poll.
This is the time to check your registration status, your polling location. But again, if she's been voting and has voted in the last election, that sounds very suspicious, because they are purging voters who have not voted in the last few elections. Those individuals have been purged from rolls, because that was the last voter trick that came out before. If you hadn't voted in the last 2, you're off the voter roll.
Yeah, well, I know this.
Now, that's interesting to hear that particular comment. So everybody needs to check their registration status. scvotes.gov.
Yep, that's facts. So I said, give me your information. I put it in so they might hear. Nowhere to be found. And again, this young lady's been voting for a very long time, and so just check your stuff, man. Just make sure that there's nothing your address and all that stuff is lined up with what's in the system, and you're not going to be turned around. And don't be discouraged.
Mr. Richardson, I just sent you something from Miss Cynthia McCormick. That's the information I talked to you all about earlier, and that's about Senate hearing tomorrow at 2 p.m. and the process on how to do public comment. Also, for those that may have already seen, I posted and I shared that information earlier via social media, but I just sent it to you if you want to share that. That came from Miss Cynthia McCormick. But yes, that is.
Oh, Patrick's in the house. Okay. And they're leading the charge in Patrick, South Carolina. Hey, this has been great. But
yes, because I got a very early start in the morning, and I have a sleep regimen to get to.
All right. No hey, I'm gonna be on the Black River tomorrow, paddling out there in a kayak. I'm kayaking.
No doubt.
Yeah. We got.
My bad.
Yeah.
He said, "Forget your kayak."
No, I hit the wrong side.
Kayak. Kayak out of here.
So y'all come on out and join me on the water tomorrow.
No, thank you.
With you, my friends.
More dang digging around in bat poop.
Hey, I saw that stuff, man. Hey.
Yeah.
Some interesting work you had going out there, but stay safe with that, man. And supposed to appreciate you coming on to share some of y'all thoughts from the cloud level of the politics, and for us local folk down here who just trying to make it happen. We appreciate that. And we didn't get to see the other candidate who we thought was going to come on, but there's opportunity. Just don't wait too late.
Yeah, tell them to reach out to me. I'll do a special. You know what I mean? Tomorrow, I don't know. I might be down with Rising Gents again, which was an awesome experience last week, hanging out with them guys, and what they're doing there. It is, you know, and after going back looking at some of these interviews, it really, you know, one of the things that stood out is them understanding why it's important for them to start planning for their future now. You know what I mean? Because, and they all consistently said, well, because if I wait, you know what I mean, I won't be but yeah, great program that they're doing like that. We need more programs like that in the
Mr.
city.
Brian Gary is heading that up, right?
Yep, Mr. Brian Gary.
Yep.
And the I'm about to say the NAACP, but the
YMCA.
YMCA.
You said an acronym is an acronym.
Yeah, they're cousins. They hang out the same place. You know what I mean?
EJSP, they're sisters.
No doubt, man. So, all right, but anyway, and listen, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and end this out here right now. And for all of you, please share, like, and thank you all for contributing. Veronica, Cynthia, who else we had in there? Pilor. Who else?
Pilor's on tonight. Okay.
Yep, she was in there earlier. Yeah, appreciate you guys, and we out here. And this was sponsored by the number one.
Termites don't need an invitation. In South Carolina, the pressure is real. Warm weather, moisture, crawl spaces, wood-to-ground contact. That's the perfect setup for termite activity. By the time you see the damage, they may have been there for months or years. Softwood, mud tubes, hollow spots, hidden damage. Don't wait until the repair bill tells the story. Schedule a termite inspection today. Palmetto Pest Control, LLC. Veteran-owned, local certified. Protect the structure. Protect the investment. Visit www.bedbugheatkill.com.